And we are live. There we go. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gym into Crypto, episode 476. Today is Monday, September 30th. And I'm King.
And I'm Bitcoin Zay, and we are here to bridge the gap between cryptocurrency and the community Monday through Friday at 10-ish today.
10-ish again.
Yeah.
As we said, for the next few weeks, possibly months, we'll be going back to 10-ish. Most days. Tuesday, we might have a different time slot, but for the most part, Monday through Friday, we're going to go back to 10-ish as these schedules continue to change. What's going on, Shannon Allen? Good day, good day. For today's top stories, we'll be talking about Caitlin Long. New Wyoming law will protect privacy of wallet keys. $6.4 million worth of FSN tokens stolen from Fusion Network's swap wallet. Coinbase-led group aims to help crypto firms avoid securities violations. I'd rather have bananas, tech billionaire Mark Cuban on Bitcoin, and Jimmy Patronis, Florida must ensure digital trust in cryptocurrency. A lot of good news stories coming out for crypto today, but of course, let's go ahead and talk about these prices right now.
Oh, yeah. All right. So this weekend, nothing much happened. However, this morning had a big jump of 3% with Bitcoin, which is at $8,295. Ethereum holding strong at $179, up 5%. Ripple at 26 cents is up 7% today. Bcash is at $226, up 3% as well. Litecoin is at $56, up 4%. And last but not least, EOS is at $2.94, up 7% as well. So green across the board going into the new week and going into quarter four starting tomorrow. So looks like what we talked about with Backed last week is coming true. It's going to dip before it goes back up. So Stop going crazy.
Worrying. For XRP, how low did we see this go? I didn't realize it went back up almost 8%. How low did it get?
I believe it got to 23 cents.
I know that was a lot of people buy price. So I wonder if a lot of people finally bought it at that price, which is a good price. I mean, as we've seen, it's been teetering around on the lowest point 25, so it did hit 22. That was a good little come up. What's going on? Milto, Leroy Forbes, Eric Brooks. Yes, no, we are back early again. We're back in here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, top story of the day. Caitlin Long. New Wyoming law will protect privacy of wallet keys.
Oh, yeah.
That is right. Wyoming Blockchain Coalition President Caitlin Long hinted at two new prospective state laws she believes will be highly popular among cryptocurrency developers and owners. What are those two state laws?
Oh, yeah. Well, she actually had an interview with my guy, Peter McCormick, September 27th, and she basically stated that in her home state of Wyoming, they will be blockchain friendly, and her quote is, anyone in the state of Wyoming cannot be compelled in a criminal or civil or administrative or legislative hearing or any other proceeding. They cannot disclose their private keys. They do not have to disclose these private keys, and that is great to hear, simply because we've started to hear some cases where people are having to give up their private keys in order for them to move forward with the case. This gives up your privacy. This gives up your actual money. Remember, not your keys, not your coin. If you have to give that up, then it's over from there. So this actually helps the industry way more than people realize, because if there is no reason for you to give up your private keys, you don't have to. At any point, even if you're prosecuted, you still can hold on to those funds because they're yours. They're literally not able to be taken in the state of Wyoming. So great news to hear from Caitlin Long, who's been doing big work in the Wyoming Senate.
It looks like the second she continue will bolster protections for open source developers and ensure that they cannot be prosecuted solely on the basis of misuse of the code they have written. She underscored that the law passes developers will not be, quote, criminally prosecuted solely for have written code, unquote, nor be held liable for others' use of their code, malicious or otherwise. Again, I mean, I'm happy for the laws themselves, I guess, for them protecting this. But again, it's that slippery slope. One day, I mean, maybe Wyoming wants to protect it, maybe Nebraska doesn't, right? So you already know how I feel about the laws, but also the fact that we have to call out the protections of developers, of software developers. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's like you make a new math formula, and it's like we have to make a law to protect the mathematicians so they don't get arrested for their math formula solving the rest of the formulas when it actually helps everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's crazy to see that developers who make open source, again, that's technology available for everyone, public technology. They make public software, and we have to put into writing that they're protected so they won't get arrested by people who work for them after they pay their tax money.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Wyoming is the least populous state, so I can see why they're starting this initiative. They'll bring in a lot of new business, a lot of new tax money. And honestly, going forward, Caitlin Long is going to end up being a legend if it starts to go that way and people are moving their companies to Wyoming, because she's pretty much the only person who's in a state senate who's come out with this much legislation this fast. So shout out to Caitlin Long.
There we go, Caitlin. What's going on, crypto and culture? Crypto Rumford. All right, big heist in the news again. $6.4 million worth of FSN tokens stolen from Fusion Networks swap token. I almost want to know the price of these. I guess we'll find out. It looks like Fusion Networks token swap wallet was compromised. Roughly a third of the FSN tokens were stolen as a result. Fusion Foundation announced in a Medium post published on September 29th that its swap wallet was compromised, which resulted in the theft of 10 million native FSN and 3.5 million Ethereum-based ERC20 FSN tokens. The total worth of stolen FSN tokens was estimated around $6.4 million at the time. All right, so yeah, the 6.4 million wasn't the amount of tokens. That was that was the amount of dollars. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Oh yeah. Well, it looks as though they found out that it was stolen because after it was stolen, there was a bit of wash trading going on BitMax and Hotbit.
Quick, went straight to the casino.
They went straight to the casino. I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and swap these out. But it says here the attacker reportedly obtained access to the wallet by stealing the private key associated with it. Of course, that's how you steal it. How they stole the private key, we are still not sure. However, it looks like crypto exchanges such as Huobi, OKX, BitMEX, Cytex, and Hotbit, haven't heard of those last two, they're actually tracking these transactions of the FSN tokens, and they're trying to recover some of the funds at least so they don't lose everything. But FSN, that may be the end of their token network, because once you get it stolen from you once, it's kind of hard to jump back in. So 6.4 million isn't something to sneeze at for a small company like FSN. So not good to see. Hate to see it.
It's unfortunate the hacks are still happening. Again, to companies, that's just the people. So make sure you stay vigilant.
Oh, yeah.
As always.
And that price dropped 66%. Good gracious. One day.
Bueno. All right. Coinbase is back in the news as a Coinbase-led group aims to help crypto firms avoid securities violations. Interesting.
So you're helping yourself.
Basically, I was going to say, it's like, basically you all can use our compliance officer for half the price if you go through us, and we'll give the right money to the people in the SEC, and we'll make sure you're good to go.
Oh, yeah.
Crypto industry leaders are taking the initiative to help firms in the space avoid running afoul of securities rules. First, even before I read the story and I see the headline, help crypto firms avoid securities violations, there is no way outside of business I see this being true, because why would Coinbase help their competition?
Yeah.
That makes zero sense. But it looks like in the company blog post, Coinbase announced that it has co-funded the Crypto Rating Council, a member organization purposed with assisting cryptocurrency companies determine if they comply with current U.S. federal securities laws. Have you taken a deep dive into this Crypto Rating Council? How would this work?
Oh, yeah. Well, it looks as though the council, which is made up of 7 other firms as well, including Anchorage, Bittrex, Circle, DRW, Cumberland, Genesis, Grayscale, and Kraken, some familiar names there. Right. But basically, this council system will rate your token or your coin on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being Bitcoin, which is the most decentralized cryptocurrency there is, and 5 being a pure security, which is, in the Howey test, it's already defined as something that is expected to make you money in the future. And I believe under the rating system, one of the biggest things you will see is the tokens that people want will get 5s, and the tokens that most people have never heard of will get 1s. And these companies will basically be able to to make up what's a security and what's not. I don't know if they'll operate sort of like FinCEN, where they're not a public company, but their advice will be used for the SEC. Right. And I believe that is why Coinbase, this is the only reason Coinbase is joining up with other companies. Because the SEC is basically probably going to run this whole council like, hey, whatever you come up with, send it to us. We'll check it out ourselves. So if you have some coins that they don't like, all of a sudden now they say, hey, that's a security. Boom. And if Ripple is one of those, for all you Ripple lovers out there, if Ripple comes up in that conversation, may have a security in the next year or so.
Well, it looks like Ripple already did come up. It looks like it landed a score either a 4 or 4.5, as you said, some of the ones people like. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Again, mine are when it comes to some of the laws, regulations and even a self-regulatory group like this by all the titans of the industry. I mean, when I just look at some of the names up here, all the names I see: Bittrex, cannot trust, no from personal experience. Circle, cannot trust, backed by Goldman Sachs. Grayscale, okay, Grayscale is actually good, but let's not forget they've been doing what they do for accredited investors for a long time, so they're not there for the little guy. It is what it is. Kraken, nah, but kind of the same thing. So I mean, I look at this in the first four I can't trust. So to me, it starts going on that slippery slope again. We have cryptocurrency, we have all this technology, we have all these methods of decentralization. Everyone keeps wanting to go back to human intervention, which is crazy. So
we keep running back to the way humans think.
We keep running back to the way we've been doing things. So this, again, it might be a positive thing for the industry. Who knows yet? Although I don't really see it being that when you have the top firm. I mean, you don't see any mom and pop exchanges on here trying to get started, do you?
Nah.
You don't see any peer-to-peer lenders on here. You see big name companies. And then, again, the human effect to it. What is going to stop them from saying, hey, we either do like this coin or we don't like this coin. Let's give it a 5 or a 1. I mean, I don't. What guarantees do I have? What stops it from the next big project that comes out that says, hey, we got $30 million. We need a 2.
Yeah.
We're going to need a 2 or 3. We got this $30 million. You all do what you want with it. Nothing's illegal here yet, right? Everything's legal.
That's pretty much
so. That's my thought on it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And one of the worst parts about this whole council is the fact that if an asset receives a 5, it cannot be disclosed by the council. Chief Legal Officer Brian Brooks actually stated the council would not disclose 5 ratings as member exchanges would not service these assets. So if it is determined to be a complete security, they're saying that it has to be on a registered securities exchange or ATS because by definition they won't be published and they won't be listed by any member. So you have a lot of 4.5s jumping up in there. I can tell you that right now.
So 4.5 equals 5.
4.5 is good.
4 is 4.5.
Exactly. Yeah. And 5 is basically they can't even list it. So if you get a 5, they can't actually put it out that it's a 5. They'll just actually tell you, and then you can go for it how you want. But this is, like you said, human intervention on something that's so beautifully done without it is kind of weird.
See, and here's my thing. The CEO of Binance already came out, Champagne, CZ Zhao. He was skeptical of the new ratings as well, saying on Twitter, let me guess, Ripple isn't in this council either. The guys who score above 2 should form their own council and re-rate everything again. That's my point.
Yeah. Who's to say that another...
Why? Look, if it has to do with humans right now, let's just step away from it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the technology. You know, it kind of goes along with that last story about Caitlin Long, all the good stuff she's doing, passing all the regulations, the positive regulations bills for the industry. But, you know, again, it's at the same time, it's a human doing it. It's a person behind it. And what's going to stop the next state from doing their own thing. So we'll see what happens with this.
Oh, man.
That would be funny. Everybody got above it, too, form their own council.
Form their own council. It's like, it's the council of the council. Like, what?
Right. Everybody's self-regulatory and everybody. What's going on? Dio Trice, Tessa Hall. There we go. Lunchtime. Yes, we're here for our lunchtime warriors. What's going on? Crypto Rumford. Another tech billionaire is in the news. One who keeps flip-flopping on Bitcoin so much, I'm starting to think his real name is China. But I'd rather have bananas. Tech billionaire Mark Cuban says about Bitcoin. That is right. He said he'll be happier owning bananas than Bitcoin. He couldn't have said it like that. What's the deal here?
Oh, well. It looks as though during a Q&A session, he answered to a Twitter user. They asked why Cuban hates crypto if he wants to provide opportunity for people to grow their net worth. And Cuban, he suggested that the issue with Bitcoin is that its price is determined by the market's demand for it. I'm trying to figure out exactly what commodity, what type of security, what type of asset, what anything isn't determined by the market's price. And he stated, here's the thing about crypto, particularly Bitcoin. Bitcoin is worth what somebody will pay for it. You mean the entire financial market is based on
everything.
That means everything. Yes. So
a house is worth how much somebody will pay.
Exactly. So if you replace the word Bitcoin with with asset or commodity,
jelly beans.
Yeah, jelly beans.
Blueberries
are worth what somebody will pay for.
Unicorns.
Exactly. Even tulips are worth what somebody will pay for it, even if it's only $2. He suggested that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, and he sort of compared it to comic books and baseball cards. Which is hilarious because you can send neither one of those things across the world instantly in a matter of minutes. You cannot use either of those things as a safe haven. Those things are not fireproof. They don't have cold storage. There's a lot of different things that go into it having intrinsic value. So I believe Cuban is at the point where he's saying things that don't really make any sense because he doesn't really know. He either knows and he's basically acting dumb, or he doesn't really know and he thinks it's just based off of price, because he was saying a whole different tune 2 years ago.
Well, I'll say that I think because you remember he was just being positive about Bitcoin recently when the Mavericks started accepting whatever they're going to do. But I think it was with ticket sales or something. I don't know. But this is what really happened with Mark Cuban. He's still on Bitcoin's side. He's frustrated because he thought he could be a Bitcoin chair overnight, and he probably just lost a lot of money in the last week. You got to remember, he has a lot more money in the market than we do.
Yeah.
And that price took a nasty dip. And the only time he tweets or says anything about Bitcoin is when the price is super high or super low. So I'm assuming it going as low as it did sparked a little outrage from him when his financial officer came around and was like, hey, we're down a good part of your little investment in the program. So
you lost $10 million, Mark.
Basically. So he's probably like, blah, blah, blah. He's hate spilling Bitcoin. Once it goes back up in price, he'll be the tech entrepreneur, and he always knew Bitcoin's the next best thing, right? But it's funny, as you say, he mentioned some of these things about someone who collects baseball cards and comic books and all these things not being worth a lot. Like, off the top of my head, there is a ton of baseball cards. You have a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, it's worth a lot. If you have a Babe Ruth rookie card, it's worth more. Or comic books. What's the comic out right now? Spider-Man, Iron Man. If you have any of those original comics, they're worth a lot of money. Artwork. All right, so if somebody runs up into Mark Cuban's billionaire estate and takes all his artwork, you mean to tell me all that won't be worth anything?
Oh, yeah. It has no intrinsic value.
Right, he gets his artwork from Target, right? Like the rest of the normal folks do. Right. Exactly. I mean, Jay-Z raps about collecting artwork. So I'm going to go ahead and say he's been wrong. All three of these things again. And you know what? I hate to say it like this too, because I know he's a billionaire. And people will say, well, he's a billionaire, you're not. Mark Cuban, like a lot of these very wealthy billionaires, one trick pony, all right?
Yeah.
He hit a grand slam.
During the tech boom.
During the tech boom, he got him $1 billion. He bought a team. I haven't seen him do anything since. That's all I'm saying. What company is he working on right now?
Yeah.
All right, so
you're not Elon Musk.
As the great LeVar Ball would say, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
You know good and well you like Bitcoin, but regardless, it's crazy to see him flip-flopping like this coming out.
Yeah, hurt feelings.
It makes waves, people. You have a billionaire talking about crypto is going to make waves. So the good thing is that whether it's good news or bad news, Bitcoin is still news. It's still pumping. So.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny is. He was talking about gold, saying you can't believe in gold because somebody can hit you over the head and take it. I'd rather have bananas. Well, bananas spoil, so good luck with that. And enjoy your 3 days of having bananas. I don't even get that correlation. I mean, at least get some non-perishable foods if you want. I mean, if you want to compare it. But.
Well, I want to know what's the solution? Is this thing just to stay with the dollars, like the 275 billion we just printed out the blue?
He's just butthurt. He's scared.
Could you imagine that, people? Let's say Bitcoin is still Bitcoin right now, and then tomorrow someone says, "All right, we lied, people. We know we said 21 million. Yeah. We're actually gonna have 275 more million Bitcoins."
Exactly.
What would that do to the market?
Exactly.
If it was a fair market, right? And that's what you're telling me is happening in the regular market. So when he says this thing about baseball cards, art, Bitcoin, gold,
bananas.
I mean, hey, we're gonna call it like that, Mark Cuban. The only thing that matters is a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say,
and how many people you have with you. If that's the point we're going for, that in livestock. So I'm not sure what his solution is, since he keeps going around everything else. But I'm assuming this was like a public service announcement from the United States government featuring Mark Cuban, of him basically saying stay away from anything that is not a fiat currency. So if it is, I'm not mad at him. He's a billionaire. He has to protect his assets. I understand. All right. In other news, this is a pretty good story. If I can get it to pull up, I have no clue what happened to it. Let me try to refresh the story. But this is a story coming out of Florida. And it has, there we go. Story coming out of Florida on the website I never heard of. Flapo, Florida Politics. Seemed legit, so hey, we're going with it. But Jimmy Patronis, Florida must ensure digital trust in cryptocurrency. That's right, Jimmy Patronis. And if somebody's in Florida, let us know this is correct. The state's chief financial officer places a high priority on regulating cryptocurrency. Recently, their blockchain task force held its first meeting, and he spoke to the panel about the technology's importance. Now, again, of course, they're talking about regulating, but the points he made were excellent. It was almost one of those things where he's the wolf in sheep's clothing for crypto for us. I mean, he said technology can keep reliable records of crypto transactions, which impacts a growing amount of commerce. Also help guard citizens against fraud. He's quoted as being saying, I get really concerned when it comes to accountability and potential fraud in these areas. He said we need to help protect our citizens from fraud, and this technology, blockchain, could be an amazing tool to ensure accountability. Now, of course, whenever we hear politicians say they need to protect the citizens, that red flag gets raised. But again, it looks like he is actually on tech's side when it comes to this. He goes into detail, basically saying, with blockchain technology, we can record transactions using cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He actually puts that in there, which is great. And he said technologies like this would transform the internet and will also cause us to replace what's called institutional trust, which is trust in human beings, to a digital trust. And he said blockchain creates a layer of accountability and security to financial transactions. So really his whole spiel to the panel was what the technology actually does, not how you feel about it. And I like, for the most part, how he left out Bitcoin and crypto, with the exception of using that in transactions. And he just talked about the technology of being a reliable source of accountability. I love that, because when you introduce that to people and you're like, hey, we don't need to worry about what Bob said last week or who made. Like, we have all this, we can see it. And anybody can check it at any time. I love that.
Oh, yeah. And one of the biggest things I wrote about in the book was blockchain politics. In local politics, because state and federal, you probably are not going to get this anywhere close to passed in the next 3 or 4 years. But local politics, local politicians, just like this guy, they understand at the local level, you can absolutely have transparency in your local politicians. If you show up to vote for your local alderman or your mayor or whoever, city council, you should be able to see what they're doing in your city. Most Americans spend over 80% of their life in their direct neighborhood or within 5 miles. So if that area is being affected, you should, take preference over trying to fix that. And if blockchain technology is the way to actually use it, this is one example. He even stated here, you can pay your property tax bill in Seminole County using Bitcoin. And that's just one step towards getting to a point where accountability, transparency on their part comes into play, and it should be private for citizens. So we'll see how this goes. And Florida's been pretty ahead of the curve, and he's not saying this as conjecture, like in the future. He's like right now, like let's start tomorrow.
It's time to start.
Somebody got their laptop open. Let's start. Let's start now.
And I'm glad you brought that up about the local cities. I mean, again, one of the running jokes, or one of the things we always talk about is, people keep trying to go after the president, the boss of the all bosses, and nobody's conquered the underbosses. You got to beat the boss of your local neighborhood first. You ain't beat the mayor yet, so
can't even talk to your local city council.
Right, it is definitely one of those things where we're talking about mass adoption and implementing at least the technology, if not Bitcoin, just the technology. Now we have stable coins, right? There is no reason why you can't go down to your town hall meeting or whatever and start to press that issue and force that issue that, hey, we're okay with continuing to give our, in California, 35% of our taxes, but we just want to see where they go. I think that's something that the next president need to run his campaign on, or her campaign. Just like, want to see where your money go? Vote for me. It's like, that's that simple. Milton said Cuban is a smart guy. He gets it, but Bitcoin threatens the structure of his wealth. He will come around. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Antonio said, Crypto Warriors, if you're based in Europe, be careful keeping money in the Revolut app. They blocked my account without warning. Can't access funds or use their application.
Oh,
wow.
Dude, that is no bueno.
No bueno. What's going on, man? Don Joe? That's hilarious. Love that name. Yep, Antonio, we're going back to 10 a.m. for a bit. Eric Brooks said, Cuban wants to bash something not property valued. How about fiat currencies and negative interest rate bonds?
Nah, he can't say that out loud.
Listen, he's definitely not doing that. Yeah. Let's see. A couple more. What's going on? Win, Woe, TM. Are we having a meetup this Sunday?
Yeah, that's not that I know of.
Not that I'm aware of. I was going to say.
Hopefully there's no scammers out there using our name saying it's a meetup. Right. We are not having a meetup.
I'll pull up on a scammer meetup, though. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it would be hilarious.
Alec G, did we talk about Spencer Dinwiddie trying to tokenize his contract? We did back in the day. We haven't done it as of recent. When I think
plus they killed it. NBA said he can't do it. Yeah, they say he can't tokenize it. He's too far ahead of his time. He's a little bit too far in the future right now. Right. That's the only thing. That's the only problem he has, is that he's too forward thinking.
What's going on, Dewan? Peace to the chat. Don Joe said, in the end, we don't pay them no tax, to the winky face. It's hilarious. He also said, or I'm pretty sure he, income tax is BS. Is like, quote, give us half your monthly salary or what, we will lock you up. It's crazy. It's like, look, people hate to admit it. The U.S. is like, not just the U.S. Every government out there, for the most part, is kind of like they're broaching on gangs. All right, it's you give us your money, or we'll lock you up, or if you don't allow us to lock you up, then we'll kill you. Yeah. So let's take it for what it is. If you don't let them lock you up, it's only one last step. So
one last step.
Always remember that whenever you want to protest something. Like, hey, the worst case scenario, they're gonna kill me anyway. So. Yeah. It is what it is.
And shout out to October Duncan. It says, how do you feel about the Cardano and New Balance news? Just spotted that right before we got on. It was stating, for those of you who don't know, Cardano will be used by New Balance to offset counterfeiting because New Balance has had over $1.5 billion in damages because of counterfeits coming out of China. And because New Balance won't have any counterfeits because of Cardano's technology, every single person in Washington, D.C. has just started rejoicing. No more fake New Balances on the street. And one of the best things about this is it's not being used in the I want to use your token or use your coin way. They're using their technology to make sure that it is no counterfeits. This will be used by a lot of companies in the future. So great to see from Cardano. Doesn't necessarily mean anything
New Balance
for the price.
Sneakers?
Yep. Doesn't mean anything for the price necessarily, but great technology, definitely.
Well, shout out to New Balance for picking this up. I mean, New Balance is on the road. They didn't mess around and got some blockchain technology and Kawhi Leonard. Look, they are shit. They're like, we don't know what y'all talking about, but we're going to be here for the next 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah. We moving forward.
All right. Other than that, folks, that is the show for today, as always. Thanks for watching. And, of course, we'll check you out tomorrow. Again, we'll be going at 10 a.m. this week. Tuesdays might be the only day we switch that time. So just make sure you get those post notifications on.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, cheers.
Cheers.